There was this SHIELD agent one time, right? Wendell Vaughn's life was changed when he put on a pair of quantum bands. Quasar's one of them space type of people where he does cosmic adventures throughout outer space. Cool stuff like that, like Silver Surfer, stuff like that. But before I go any farther, thank you all that have donated to the channel. Appreciate it a lot. This is what you see on Marvel.com about his origin. Wendell Vaughn's life changed when he donned a pair of quantum bands. To protect the devices from falling into the clutches of AIM, he found that once he put the devices on, he could control the energy the wristbands tapped into better than any of the other SHIELD agents that had previously tried it. Nick Fury recruited him to the SHIELD Super Agent program. During a trip into space to learn the origins of the quantum bands, Quasar was contacted by Eon, this guy, the guardian of cosmic awareness. He appointed Quasar the protector of the universe, inheriting the title that from the now deceased Marvel, Captain Marvel, the male, and charged him with the task of preventing his murder. Quasar failed to save Eon, but stopped his killer, Maelstrom, from collapsing the universe into a giant black hole. Stuff like that. Epic stuff. You know, you get the idea. This is the stuff they got on Marvel.com for you, so you can read all of this if you like. This is the thing. A lot of people consider Nova to be Marvel's Green Lantern, but personally, I would say Quasar is probably the closest to Marvel's Green Lantern when it comes to construct creation. He doesn't wear a ring, but he wears bands instead. You know, quantum bands, construct creation, stuff like that. Don't forget that the bands can only be removed after he's dead, so you can't just remove them really. Starting off the feet run, just straightforward. Quasar's quantum bands, it states here. SHIELD Technology Lab Theory. Quantum bands function by creating a link to some unknown energy field dimension. This type of energy does not behave like other energies from this dimension. This energy can be controlled by the user's mind to perform useful tasks. Shapes and forces can be used according to the user's will. See why I say this is closer to Green Lantern when it comes to the term will, you know what I mean? And energy constructs, energy absorption, it makes him a versatile energy manipulator. So think about being one of the most versatile energy manipulators that can do stuff like energy absorption, energy projection, a lot of blast power type of character. Like draining, for example, like he literally drained a Watcher before, like draining them of their energy. It's kind of crazy. But the showings he does have is insane. Thanos shoots an energy blast at Quasar and he turned it into construct. By the way, Thanos has the Infinity Gauntlet and he doesn't plan on beating him because he knows like that Infinity Gauntlet's kind of broken. It states here, you know what this fist is made of, Thanny? The energy you shot me with. Yeah, neat, huh? Yeah, so your best bet is to not shoot energy at Quasar. He kind of could just use it back against you. Now, when it comes to the Soul Gem, this is occasion with Warlock. This is kind of insane. He was able to drain some of the power of the Soul Gem. Kind of very hacksy. Very insane energy manipulator. It states here, I think it's high time my quantum bands gobbled up big heaping bucketfuls of his power. He states, what are you doing? Another occasion of him draining folks, like draining the Jack of Hearts. Just draining folks all the time. Brother, God was even able to drain Ego, the living planet. Across the world, the ego mass blackens and shatters into a fine grit dust. There was a time he even turned energy of the Phoenix into concussive force. Yes, that's right. It's just energy manipulator. It even states here, Phoenix is really turning up the heat. I'm pouring so much effort into absorbing all of her energy and trying to dissipate it. Just a master energy manipulator. He was able to absorb energy of this being known as the Presence in Marvel. No, not the Presence from DC, the omnipotent being. No, not that guy. We're talking about somebody else. This being is capable of generating and manipulating vast amounts of nuclear energy. He can use this to augment his strength, durability, stamina, force blast, flight, constructs, telepathy, mind control, stuff like that. And he's an inventor of a genius level intellect, stuff like that. He can even absorb so much power, of course, like other Marvel characters. He's in that star black hole ranges. He was able to channel the energy of a star. Quantum bands, baby. Let the power of the closest star flow right through quantum bands and back out. And as you can see, he is doing it. He even states, I'm Quasar, master of quantum bands, guardian of Eon, protector of the whole flipping universe. And I'm not going to be ignored. To be able to produce this much energy or even absorb this much energy and shoot it back out, that lets you know that he could destroy the earth 1,000 times over if he felt like it, because that's nothing to powerhouses in Marvel. He's a powerhouse thanks to quantum bands. What really makes him like a Green Lantern is his constructs. Let me give you an example, like this little energy construct he made here. It's like a literal battle suit. This is kind of epic. The quantum armor. More proof of him being in those powerhouse ranges. He has shield construct, shield him and heroes from a hungry Galactus. Multiple blasts. You can't be a city block level being or a building level being at best and be able to do something like this. His potency of attack is dangerous. He's even able to make constructs that are so big, they're the size of the whole world, like global constructs. And he can use them to detect things. This construct he made, it states, I'll hang up here in the exosphere permanently invisible. Anything larger than a micrometeorite passes through it, it'll set my quantum bands buzzing like an alert system, like an alarm system around the world. Not only that, I'll make it sensitive to any exotic, highly energetic power manifestations going on down below. You know, just like a big old alarm system for the planet. Just cool stuff. Heat detect quantum bubble that defends against defense systems of certain planets, you know, shields. It states here inside of his quantum sphere, he can cause the inside of the sphere to start spouting 2-foot prongs, blasting them with stuff when his quantum bubble projecting them, but he can also turn the quantum bubble into projectiles to shoot outward. He can hit apart large meteorites with like literally an energy construct of a bat. Green Lanterns are known for making constructs, and if they lose their concentration, then their constructs will fade out or something like that. Quasar is kind of different. Actually capable of making permanent constructs, even if he's like not even in the vicinity or something. Like, isn't that crazy? In this particular occasion, he imprisoned somebody. They even state, how long will those shackles you made last? He said indefinitely. Isn't that crazy? Oh yeah, that's Eon. He can also make time constructs, even states here, I put a timer on those fish bowls. They will fade in about 10 minutes. This is awesome construct creation. You're probably wondering, how can he be the protector of the universe when he's like only one being? You know what I mean? Well, this is the thing. He has like pretty much alert systems all around the universe. What do I mean, you ask? Remember how I just stated how he can make constructs that last permanently? I mean, he kind of can do this to his advantage to make constructs all around the universe, like thousands of different satellites, and they have no reason to go away, right? Because he made them. I've sent thousands of these listening stations out across the universe, and I feel as if I'm just getting started. I used to think that protector of the universe was the most exciting job imaginable. This is the benefit of having permanent construct creations. You can make devices and they just stay there. Imagine making security cameras in certain places around the universe and you always know they're there. You know what I mean? You already know what's going on there. And they're not easy to break too. I mean, he's able to shield from like top tier powerhouses. For example, Wolverine trying to cut it, freaking top tiers like Hercules, raw strength, even characters like The Thing, all the major heavy hitters, Cyclops, freaking the Hulk himself, Thor, his shields can withstand blows from the heaviest hitters all at the same time, so he has to be in those powerhouse tiers. He can even shield against thermonuclear blasts. He can shield himself from blasts that can cause major damage to Thor. They kind of implied here, they states here, Thor, you'd only be endangering yourself. And if he wants to pin beings down, yeah, these beings are giving Thor some issues, in like a group, of course. He can pin them down with construct anvils. Isn't that awesome? That's why I say in numbers, they're kind of a nuisance for Thor. They said these swarm like ants. Combat speed on the level of light speed. He can shoot a construct at light speed. You got that right. It's literally stated here. It's to shoot a package at light speed and have to turn it into something with a lot of air drag. Turns it into a parachute by shooting something at light speed. You know, construct creation. Epicness. He also has enhanced durability, like the quantum aura. It's kind of the reason why he can breathe in space. Stuff like that. Like it's always like a little thin layer around his skin at all times. It's unaffected by a flare from the sun. You know, durability. Just top tier levels of stuff. Characters like Moondragon, who I always bring up in my videos for some reason, conveniently, has psionic abilities. She can't get through his head because of his psionic blocks, quantum bands. They states here, can't penetrate his infernal PSI blocks. They must be programmed through his quantum bands. He's durable enough to take an attack from a Watcher. Look at all that damage after the punch. The time he puts the creature into the Earth's magma layer, his durability helps him against such heat. He states here, can't go any further. Heat's penetrating my aura. Still was resisting. You know, either way, his quantum aura, he can just fly through the sun if he feels like it. He can keep binary alive while flying through the sun. It pretty much confirms here he can project his quantum aura into other people. It states here, I guess my quantum energies prevented you from creating a vortex hole like you just made in the sun. There's too much evidence of him being able to blast away a star at this point with all this implication. I mean, think about it, man. He's completely immune to mental takeover. If you're a mind person, you might not even want to try. He's super duper resistant. You know what I mean? I mean, usually people are resistant to mental takeover, but it just seems like Quasar is just like completely immune to it more than the average being. You know what I mean? I mean, he put his quantum aura around other beings like Mockery that can protect against supernova-like explosions. I mean, other quantum band users, he's like what you would call better than the average, right? His durability was able to withstand being crushed by 3 beings that were using quantum energy constructs to topple on top of him. He even says an interesting theory. He said, I wonder if I could somehow tap into their bands without their knowing it. Them 3v1 in him. Of course, without making a force field to protect his body all the way, he can take attacks. Powered up beings. Can shield from it. Stuff like that. Big old hand constructs. Isn't it cool? The most frustrating thing about Quasar is that he doesn't actually blast as much as you would think, considering that he's an energy manipulator you would think he would. Mostly blast from times where he absorbs energy and reverts it back and stuff like that. Usually make constructs like a bat or something, or giant hands or giant fist, giant hammer. And that's his form of attack power. You got to get the best idea of his, one could say, full attack or striking potential is the feat right here, which I indeed showed earlier of him blocking attacks from top tiers like Hercules, Hulk, Wolverine's claws, The Thing, stuff like that. I mean, he can make like 100 megaton blasts on the fly. Like, he did it right between his ears. He also has some interesting dialogue in his battle feat with Thanos. He states, hope this does something. I haven't been able to tap into the energy of his Infinity Gauntlet. So it's implied he's able to tap into the energies of the Infinity Gauntlet because they are forms of energy, I guess. He states here, I guess his Infinity Gems aren't related to Infinity, my cosmic benefactor. He also has teleportation. It's known as the quantum jump. He can even move stuff by quantum jumping different objects. Evidently, quantum jumps have after effects of the environment, but if he quantum jumps while inside of his construct, it will nullify those effects. Well, there was this one time he was evidently trespassing on the Shi'ar airspace, and he kind of trolled them. They blasted him, pretending to surrender, and did a quantum jump, and ended up causing major effects to the environment, which resulted in this happening, sucked into a vacuum. And then they even stated, smooth move, Q-Man. Quantum jumping right from under their noses. I usually don't do it in atmosphere because it rips a hole in the air. You know what I mean? In case you didn't know, he actually gets his power from this place known as Quantum Zone, This is the place where the quantum bands get their energy from, by the way. He was able to jump another being here. You know, cool stuff. His bands actually react defensively if they're trying to be tampered with. Like this, for example, like they got a mind of their own. So even if he's knocked out, you try to mess with him, they still got his back. He's gotten a battle feat with one of the fastest beings in the universe, known as Mockery, the Eternal. During the same fight, while getting blitzed, he was able to make the ground that he was running on, make his racetrack the consistency of molasses. It states here, I'm stuck as a duck in the muck. Yep, battle feat with Mockery. Just very versatile. It states, I can amplify your vocal cords temporarily and create a platform from quantum energy. It states here, guess everything those bands make isn't yellow. Exactly, they don't have to be yellow. Cool stuff. He can even project infrared energy and a giant hammer again. And if you try to blitz him with a whole bunch of weapons, he can just melt your weapons with a bubble. That as soon as you go through the bubble, it just melts it. Yep. His quantum bands can even make multiple fists at the same time, not just one at a time. It states here, I shifted my energy aura beyond the visible spectrum. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, invisible aura. See another construct example, this little claw. Very versatile. He can attack with various energies from the electromagnetic spectrum. He even states it here. Add my special binding force to give my energy manifestation solidity and work my way up to cosmic rays. I'll start with low frequency radio waves. Yeah, he can just use a lot of different stuff from electromagnetic spectrum. And yes, he has quantum tripwires in the battle suit. Yep, you got caught in his trap. He can feel and track living lasers' energy. Of course, giant fist construct. Knock knock. Don't forget that he's a trained shield warrior, so he does have fighting skills. That's why you see him dodging attacks on certain occasions. Hyperion in combat has gotten a battle feat with him. Had trouble catching up to Quasar's raw speed, showing his level of power. Hyperion, another Thor tier. I showed this earlier, but yeah, he took a punch from Adam Warlock, put a helmet up to eat the attack. Even better. Oh yeah, never forget that Hyperion is a being that can fight characters like Gladiator, another black hole level being. So he's had plenty of occasions fighting the powerhouses. Quantum bands for the win, baby. And don't ever forget how fast Hyperion is. He was able to throw an attack in a nanosecond. So in combat. Yet Hyperion had a hard time catching up with him in this flight speed occasion. Another battle feat that pretty much concretes him being in that Thor tier is how he was able to give Thor a run for the money and just attack power. You see the construct creation of like some nunchucks. Isn't that epic? Fighting Thor himself. He has to be that strong. Well, the battle feats that really stand out to me to really make him concrete in the powerhouse tier, at least, are battle feats like going up against the Silver Surfer, the Watcher, and even scuffling with the Phoenix Force, even though when he fought against Phoenix Force, he was a little bit newer, but you get the idea. He was newer with the quantum bands. I showed this a little bit earlier, battle with the Watcher, but I didn't really show it in detail. I only showed one scan. And this battle with the Watcher was pretty entertaining to watch. Fighting blows from him. Remember earlier I showed you him draining him. That was a part of the same fight. You know, using energy constructs to do what he got to do. All that blasting. Does like this, ends up rematerializing. It states here, he's rematerializing good. Okay, Watcher, if I manage to convince you that I can give as good as I can get. Look at him boxing gloves. But then the fight gets interrupted. Blast the Watcher here. He had him on the ropes. This is one example of you getting to see how he is with fighting skills, using different swords. Things like that. Dueling. Chop. You see what I mean? It's just epic to see. To really prove he's in that powerhouse tier, he's fought the man, the myth, the legend, Silver Surfer, in multiple panels. Respected, but he did take an L somehow. Even though he should have made more constructs, but that's none of my business. He hung in there with the Silver Surfer. That's the important thing, right? I got a video about the Phoenix, and scuffling with the Phoenix is probably better than you could ever believe. I just let the panels provide evidence for you right there. Evidence there, blocking a blast from Phoenix. It's just ridiculous. Obviously, this is not Phoenix's highest form still, but you get the idea. Making multiple constructs at the same time, having little issues, kind of new with the quantum bands. It states here 3 quantum feats at the same time. Phoenix was kind of under mind control in this particular occasion. You know what I mean? This fight in particular, he completely outclasses being known as Jack of Heart, another energy manipulator type of being that I kind of showed earlier, but didn't really expand upon it, if that makes sense. Drains, get bodied, right? And for those that are curious, he did briefly wield the Star Brand. My name is Wendell Vaughn. I hail from a little place called Earth. Maybe you've heard of it. I'm also known as Quasar. That name and the awesome, powerful quantum bands that come with it make me protector of the universe. There was a space knight known as Icon, a Gladorian space knight, presented herself as the greatest living space knight, stated this about Quasar's ability, analyzing Wendell Vaughn, human empowered Quasar, protector of the universe, Alpha plus class power, battery build, enhanced Corbinite power equivalency to Asgardian demigod, Alpha plus. So he got pretty much classified as the same as battery build. That's pretty much confirming he's in that Thor tier as well. He's also known as the Cosmic Avenger. Like I mentioned earlier, Wendell Vaughn wasn't the first person to have these on. His name was Robert Grayson, Marvel Boy. As far as we know, he was the first guy to ever wear these funky glowing bracelets. He primarily used them for blinding opponents. He learned to turn them up to the point where he eventually got to the point where he would shoot blinding light. He ended up disintegrating himself. He turned up the bracelets too high. Reed Richards ended up turning him into S.H.I.E.L.D. for security reasons. But yeah, before all this powers, and technically before he was a powerhouse, he had raw fighting skills and training. Things like that, right? They even go as far as saying, your scores look pretty dang good. You're at the top of the class in combat tech, surveillance, and cryptography. By the way, these bands actually take attacks from a full charge of the most powerful lasers on Earth and nothing happens. They're durable. Energy blocks it, energy constructs like a ram, aura, hammer, hand clap smashing folk, giant hands. Kind of like Green Lanterns, chop, epic occasions blasting through a ship. I wish there was more occasions of him blasting more. Should be massively faster than light because he's a space character. The main feats that really make him a very strong Thor, Hulkish, contender level being is feats like this of him making constructs, blocking from multiple different powerhouses, creating energy out of Thanos' blasting him with the Infinity Gauntlet, making that energy into like a construct. The battle feat with Mockery earlier, being able to literally absorb the energy of a star and blast it outward. And even being able to absorb energy from Ego. I feel like all these feats just concrete him in that tier of power. With characters like Thor and Nova concretely. I think that's fair, man. He has too much evidence of this. I mean, he's scuffling with the Phoenix Force without getting to curb stomped. Slug it out with characters like Adam Warlock, who I just made a video on. So he's insane. But what do you guys think? Post your comments down below. Let me know what y'all think. Did you know Wendell Vaughn was this strong? Did you know Quasar was this strong? You probably didn't. You probably didn't know that he can make constructs and they last permanently. That's the advantage he has. He can make like satellites around the universe so it can keep him aware of what's going on around the universe. And they won't go away unless somebody's strong enough to blow them up. You know what I mean? That's the only way. But I'm interested to hear you guys' thoughts. Is there any major thing I missed? I don't think I did, but who knows? I'm not perfect. Post them comments down below. Let me know what you all think. This was a nightmare to make, but I didn't do this for y'all. I will see you guys later.